Welcome to another episode of The Bridge, brought to you by Business Day. I'm Arese Ugwu, and today we're going to be discussing real estate and the affordable options that are available to African millennials. We have two amazing guests in the studio, Bankole Oluwayemisi, who is an African millennial entrepreneur and the founder of Cabal. He's going to be talking to us about the problems that millennials face when it comes to acquiring real estate. And we have Ofere Christopher, who's the founder of Blue Ocean Realtors, and she'll be discussing the solutions that are open to African millennials owning property in Nigeria. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. So today we're going to be talking about real estate and the affordable options that are available to millennials. I find it's quite interesting because real estate is arguably one of the most sought after asset classes that we have in Nigeria. Almost everyone that you meet wants to own land one day. But the problem is we're always saying one day, because we feel like we can't afford, to buy real estate or to play in that market. Because if you open the newspaper, you see land in Banana Island for 500 million naira, hundreds of millions. Lots of young Nigerians don't feel like they can participate in real estate. But we are wrong because we don't look at the right areas. So today we're going to be having conversations around what problems or what misconceptions young people have when it comes to buying real estate in Nigeria, because we all have to own property at one point. It's an important asset class to have. So Bankole, you're a millennial. Have you ever thought about, because you're a millennial, you're doing great things.
I'm an old millennial.
You're running a fantastic business.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Cabal and what Cabal does, and what you think about the real estate market in Nigeria. Is it something that you want to play in?
So very quickly, Cabal is a technology media platform. I started in 2013, and it actually is a subsidiary of Big Cabal Media, which is a company that creates digital content for African millennials that live in Africa and outside of Africa.
Very fancy.
Yes, indeed. And I've been doing this for about 5 years now with my co-founder. Been doing, okay. So that's that. About the question of real estate and how I approach it personally, considering that I'm an older millennial, and I feel like it's important to make that distinction, like young millennials and old millennials. There are three major things that I see as a barrier to people my age when they think about real estate as an asset class. I think the biggest one that you did allude to is the fact that it's expensive. It's not as easy to get into as stock or mutual funds or whatever.
It just feels like a big man's
problem.
It just something for later.
Yeah, like when you feel like you've hammered or you've gotten that plum job that is paying you X amount per month.
But do you think that the issue is that there's no affordable real estate, or that we just don't look for the information, or our aspirations are so big that it's like no one wants to live in Aja. Yeah. Everybody wants to live in Lekki Phase 1 or Ikoyi, and it's like, what's the point of even looking at real estate there, because you obviously can't afford it?
Yeah, that kind of segues into the next point I was going to make, which is in terms of discoverability, it's actually not easy, to find real estate compared to, say, if you were shopping for clothes or shopping for shoes. It's an asset class that is relatively opaque in terms of, how you discover and actually interact with purchasing it. And that brings up the other issue, second leg of that, which is trust. People don't know who to trust. So, where do you go when you want to buy property? Apparently it's like agents, like who are these agents? I have to do a lot of due diligence, considering that millennials are very...
Well, on money, come and take the land.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's go to Ofere now. So I am a believer that as a young person, you have to start acquiring assets that can protect you in the future. However, I get the point about real estate being too expensive. But I also know that there, growth areas in that Lekki Expressway axis that people can start investing in now, they're not as expensive. I feel like you can own, if I had 100 million, I wouldn't buy like one property. I'd go and invest it in those growth areas that are cheaper and build so that I can have rental income that can pay for whatever Lekki Phase 1 property or Ikoyi property that I want to live in. I don't feel like I need to own it. or live. I don't feel like I need to own the house that I live in, but I want rental income from a collection of, properties in those kind of areas that I can afford. So what kind of solutions do you guys offer that can make things like that more possible for millennials in Nigeria?
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, just start by saying the mindset of the millennial has to really change right now.
Okay.
You just like what he said or what you've told me. Real estate is something you don't want to play because you're thinking of the price, you're thinking of the market, you're thinking of trust, you're thinking of. But as solution, we actually thought of it, and it's a vision, as a passion to me. And as I look at the future, I see this problem. When you talk to young people at the age of between 18, 20, 21, they don't want to talk about real estate, but they should start thinking about real estate. Real estate, I think, is still the best investment for anybody to go into. And if you look at where we live in Lagos, Lagos is fast growing. The banana of today used to be something you wouldn't want to go into. The Lekki of today. So
because there was no electricity. People who lived there had to power.
But right now,
themselves.
opportunities have come up. If you go down in Lekki side, Dangote is coming. So many things are coming. The free trade zone is coming. There's so much happening there.
So let's talk.
Now the young people are not still embracing that. I offer solutions, and I still see the age range of those that are buying this property. And so I came up with a concept that let us do a joint venture together. The young people must come together. And I see it as unity. 10 guys can come together, 20 guys can come together on some piece of land. And by the time we fence it together and put it all together, we are chasing out the moneyless. But we have to come together.
Okay, let's talk about specifics now. So basically what you're saying is that you provide a product where you can own a land. Say Bankole and I want to go into property, but we don't have enough money. Both of us can come together to own the land and then build on it. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you make that more affordable for us? Do you provide things like we can, if the land is 5 million, we can pay over 3 years, or
5 million is too much money right now.
Good.
It's as affordable as you can think. You can own a land with as low as 250,000, and then you can pay within a year.
Okay.
All you just need to do is, first of all, have the mindset that I can own a land. There's something that says, even in the Bible, it says 1 chase 1,000, 2 10,000. If you look at the mathematics, it means that the second person is bringing on board 9,000 to become 10,000. So it's possible. The word collaboration or joint venture is the way that millennials should go, and it will bring unity for them, for a better Nigeria.
Behind the scenes, you were talking to me about another sort of option that you had, which is basically maybe I own the land, but I don't have any money to develop it, but I can bring a few people together to develop it, and then we'll all own the property collectively. Yeah. So does your firm act as a middleman to sort of pair the clients who have land and don't have money to build on it with the people who have some money but don't want to spend it all on, buying land first?
Yeah, very correct. We're already doing that with a lot of firms right now, with a lot of companies, with a lot of young people. We'll get the landowners to drop the land as their equity. We get the young people to put their money together and do this construction within 3 years, which is comfortable for them. And they own a piece. And it's their inheritance. You can't just stop saying, I don't want to own real estate because I cannot afford it. It is affordable. It's just knowing the right people to
having
talk
the information,
having this information.
But how are you making the information accessible though? Because I think that's the point that you pointed out. Like, how do we get more real estate firms to put not just the 100 million naira properties like in the newspapers and online, but the affordable ones? What are you doing, especially if you want to? So you complained about the age range, but I feel like if you want to target millennials, you have to use mediums that they understand, like social media. Like, how are you communicating?
Yeah, I am, but I think we have to do more to reach them on those platforms, because I basically think that's where they live right now. So we are working on a solution to be able to reach them on their own word, because they need to hear this.
Definitely. I think Bankole is in the tech world, and he probably has some ideas on how your company can provide this information to millennials.
Absolutely. So no charge. I would just like to say a few things. Social media is definitely low-hanging fruit. That's kind of like the first thing. And active social media presences not only organically reach young people, but when, for whatever reason, they go looking for information about this, you rank really high, like they find you, and the fact that you are on social media just enables them to trust you. It makes them sure that this is an active company that is, and the fact that they're on social media means that they're probably progressive and up to date and all of that stuff, and that makes it easier for them to make that connection. Second thing is content marketing and education, which is the biggest thing we've been talking about, and people who have done this really well for sectors that appear to be, very, very, very technical. We've seen people do cool stuff with newsletters, with blogging, where you reach out and break it down in a way that is no jargon, big grammar or anything. Just come at it with like, this is what is going on. A is equal to C, and all of that, and people appreciate that information, especially when it's delivered in bite-sized chunks. So you can use infographics, you can use very short videos, to educate people about what the possibilities are. And the third thing I think is that when people decide that they actually want to engage, they want to invest, that process needs to be as intuitive as possible. You need to remove the friction in the process. So don't make them come to your office
go to the bank,
or make them fill out like 20 forms.
Fill some forms.
People just want to download an app or fill out.
I think also going back to that social media thing, a lot of companies make this mistake. They start to put up flyers that say this is what we have available. I think that what would sell more is if you said, maybe you're done business with Bankole and he's bought a property in Ibejuleki. You take a picture of Bankole with his in the Ibejuleki property and you're like, yes, found out Cabal, deal closed. People then see that this is a real thing that's accessible to people that look like them and are doing the same kinds of businesses and have the same kind of lifestyle as them. So I think that'll be an interesting thing, to look at. Final question.
Okay.
Because the world is changing. So a big question for me is, do you think that millennials actually want to own real estate? Let me explain. There's a big sharing economy right now, especially globally. That Airbnb coming up, Uber, people don't feel like, millennials especially, don't feel like they have to own a car anymore. And even property, we're so different in the way that we think. So my thing is, people don't realize that a house that you live in is actually a liability. So I think that I'm millennial enough to say I don't necessarily have to own the house that I live in, but I understand, because I'm a personal finance nut, that I have to own property, that can protect me in the future. But I'm more interested in that rental income. I'm more interested in it as an investment, but I don't know that I have that need, because our parents, they were quite different, weren't they?
Yep.
Money meant I can now buy a car, or I can now buy houses all over, the country. But I don't necessarily have that, need. I'm interested in assets as long as, their investments. And
don't forget that they also got married earlier and had to start families much earlier than people these days do, so they had to have that place where they, pop all the kids into and stuff like that. But, I'm going to tell you a cool story. I don't know how to drive. And,
oh my God.
And it's okay, because the CEO of the Didi Kuaidi, which is large ride-sharing company, bigger than Uber in China. He doesn't know how to drive either.
Wow.
This is a ride-sharing company, billions of dollars. One of the most valuable companies, startups in the world, and CEO doesn't know how to drive. And it speaks to the fact that the way people think about,
is it really a lifestyle skill anymore?
It's not a life skill. It's not even necessarily because they cannot afford these things. It's just because now people are not just upwardly mobile economically, but also physically. Millennials change jobs like every few months.
They want to travel.
They want to travel. They want to move around the world, and having things that tie you down are
Really,
problematic. It's not really on. So that's why we need to think about investing in real estate as two separate things. There is the fact that people buy real estate because they want to use it, they want to utilize it, they want to live there, or they buy because they want to invest and make a profit. And I think it's the second category that we're speaking to. If people think about it as an asset class that generates a return on investment, then that becomes a more interesting conversation for them, because what they own now is an asset, as opposed to a liability that they have to live inside and clean and pay taxes on and maintain.
Exactly. People forget, like when you say, oh, I own a 200 million naira house, it means you're probably spending a good chunk of it maintaining that house, fixing things. But when you own it as an investment, all I'm interested in is just the income that comes from the property so that I can pay for my tickets and my other lifestyle needs.
It behooves you to, help to make in your education, make that distinction, make it clear that you're not owning this thing physically, and which is why I appreciate the model, which is you're owning a part of something, because from an investment standpoint that makes sense. It becomes this fungible asset that so it's not necessarily a plot of land somewhere. It's a piece of owning a piece. And we see people already. This concept's already in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin, where people own a piece of something.
So we're pushing that strong now for the billion that they could actually own a piece of something. What we're saying is you can own a piece of banana. You can own a piece of VI. You can own a piece of anywhere.
Without putting a large chunk of money.
Without putting a large chunk of money.
Without being physically tied to it.
You just own a piece and that's
So give me an example. If I wanted to own a piece of banana, what kind of products do you have in place or packages do you have in place that would make that happen?
There's some properties that are coming up in Banana, Victoria Island as off-plan sales. And you can get as low as 100 million for an apartment. And this 100 million can be spread into 10 people, which is saying that 1 million naira is going to be in a 1 year payment terms. So what it means that you own a piece of banana with as little as less than 100,000 naira every month.
I see. So how do you manage that? How do you manage that process? Is it up to you guys to manage that process, or do the 10 people have to manage it?
Depends on what they really want. I've come to see some friends that really want to come together and do it together. We can also bring people together and do it together. Depends on
so there are obviously contracts in place that say you own 10% of this, I own 20% of this.
And if you want to back out, we get somebody else to take you on. Which I think you shouldn't, because he's going to definitely appreciate. And every year there's a return for you. And you don't necessarily need to live in that house. You're everywhere in the world, but at least you get something. We need to embrace that. Millennials.
So if I was paying for a property, even on my own, and I couldn't pay all at once, and I wanted to pay in installments over a period of time, do you charge like an extra interest on top of it?
I don't.
And is it affordable?
It's very affordable. I don't think that we don't want to do that. We just want to encourage young people to own something. It's a heritage.
So there's a social impact.
Yes, that's it. Because I just look at the young people and then they don't want to own anything. Why? And we need to start driving. You need to own a piece because it actually belongs to you.
This has been such an amazing conversation. I feel like the audience will definitely get a few insights into real estate. And I'm sure that you've also thought about some things that you can do. So
Differently on how to interact with
more millennials to invest with you. That was such an insightful conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned a few things. A big thank you to our guest, Bankole Oluwayemisi, founder of Tech Cabal.
I think I had so much fun.
And Ofere Christopher, founder of Blue Ocean Realtors.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, guys. Let's continue the conversation on social media. You can follow me on @SmartMoneyArese, and you can follow the Business Day page @BusinessDayNG. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on buying property in Nigeria.